What's up, guys? Tactiholics here, coming at you from Wisconsin Firearms Training Center, Brookfield, Wisconsin. We got down here to do a couple of gun reviews today, and one of the ones we pulled off their rental shelf is the new Springfield Armory XDE hammer-fired, polymer-framed, concealed carry consideration gun. A lot of stuff going on here. Basically what this is designed right off the Mod 2 platform, as Long D mentioned. You know, the grip texture and the grip zone and stuff, it's a lot like the Mod 2. The only exception is that it's a single stack gun and it's hammer fired. So you're kind of breeding a Mod 2 with an XDS, I guess is a good way of putting it. That being said, you know, I mean, the fiber optic sights, the loaded chamber indicator, the ambi mag release, it's all the same as most of the other Springfields that are on the market. It does have a higher bore access with a much taller slide if you look here to accommodate for that hammer mechanism. But you also have what they worked into it, being that this is a hammer-fired gun, is basically a three-way carryable gun with an ambidextrous safety slash decocker. So you could carry this gun traditional to most of your SIGs, if you will, which is loaded, decocked with a live trigger. You could do loaded, decocked with the safety on, or you could even do it similar to a 1911-ish, where you have cocked and locked with the safety on, hammer back, so you're only operating in single action. One of the things that a lot of people, I know, kind of slammed this gun for was that it was hammer fired. And for me, I shoot a lot of SIG, double single actions. Long D shoots a lot of double single actions, including the Beretta M9, which is probably one of the more challenging and egregious triggers in the double action, single action market to shoot. You can learn to do it very well. However, it does take more time, effort, and energy. And I think there's more efficient options out there, primarily focusing on the striker-fired market, than a hammer-fired gun, which includes the XDE. However, if you are one of those people who wants to invest the additional time in training and is familiar with and comfortable and, more importantly, proficient with, highly proficient with a hammer-fired gun, I think that this gun is going to come with the Springfield reliability. A lot of quality built into this gun, a lot of reliability has been proven on the XD name, the XD, XDM, Mod 2s, XDSs, things like that. So I think this is a reliable gun. I think it's definitely a viable consideration. Probably one of the best single stack, double single action guns that's on the market right now. In my opinion, for defensive carry. Very easy to field strip, serviceable, maintainable, all that stuff. One of the things that I will certainly agree with Long D on is the grip angle. Well, I think the texture of the grips is very comfortable, and it didn't roll out of my hand, even though it's a relatively small frame gun. The grip angle was just too steep, kind of weird, and it actually started to hurt my wrist over a period of time from, you know, how steep that thing is. So if I extend the gun out in front of me, you can see to level out the gun, it's really kind of canting my wrist quite a bit in that socket where it meets my arm, and it started to be something that I found not very comfortable. However, that could be a subjective opinion. You might have different hand size or a different method of shooting that is more appropriately accommodated by this firearm, but that's probably my biggest ding against it, was the fact that the grip angle for me was rather harsh. But the trigger works well, it behaves good, it's pretty smooth. Double action has a couple crunch spots in there, but they're not that significant. The reset is pretty good. However, after you do hit the reset point, you need to take up about 1/4 to 1/2 inch of slack before hitting the break point for a subsequent shot. So it's not the tightest trigger on the market, but overall it's very smooth, and the reset's nice and positive and tactile and audible. But looking at the magazine, you have these little base plate sleeve things on here. I'm not a fan of those because I've found that they will either run a high probability of pinching your hand when you're trying to insert the magazine into the gun, and they can also impede the releasing of the magazine because that plastic collar gets stuck on your hand if your hands are big enough. So traditionally, what I've recommended to my students was to actually just remove this plastic collar, this little sleeve of death on your magazines, and get rid of it and just run the magazine open like this. However, that can potentially cause an issue of over-inserting the magazine to the point where it stimulates a malfunction of some type, and there's been cases out there where people really over-insert that magazine and they actually jam the gun up and it needs to be disassembled. So there are deficits to removing that magazine sleeve. However, there's deficits to keeping it on the gun. Now we're starting to see more companies on the market offer more efficient options for sleeves. I don't know what's out there for the XDE, if anything, at this point in time, but that's just kind of one of my other points of disapproval, if you will, or discontent rather. And that's, again, not exclusive to the XDE. That's just, I don't like those little plastic sleeve collar death machines. So overall, really good gun, good behavior gun, and a big shout out and thank you to Wisconsin Firearms Training Center for letting Long D and I come out, invade their range, rip the XDE off the wall. I've been wanting to shoot this since it came out, and I think it's definitely a viable consideration for someone who, again, wants to accept the double single action functioning of a firearm for the context of self-defense use. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. We'll see you next time, and we never quit.